which just means no matter what happens, we kind of know as a football team that our aggression on offense is not always going to be perfect, and so we've got to be ready to spot the ball on defense no matter what happens. And so I thought they did a phenomenal job of just always battling no matter what the circumstance was. We put them in some bad situations, but they never blinked. I thought they did a really good job of playing really sound defense for, I don't know the percentage, 80% of the game, something like that probably. And so that positives there. Kickoff return was a positive. Jay Sean Platt was super close to busting 2 of them. I think if you asked him, he'd probably say he wants those 2 back. He thought he could make those go. And then clearly Easton being able to tie the school record for receptions in the game is cool, individual awards and stuff like that. But to me, the biggest positive we have is we've got great leadership on this team. And Sunday when we came in here for meetings and our walkthrough, our guys didn't blink. And so I think that's probably the biggest positive we have is our guys understand that one game's not going to ruin the season, and we've got to rebound, we got to bounce back, and that's what we're ready to go do.
You talk about leadership. That might be the most important thing you have, because at least with this program and where it's been, it's almost like, oh, I'm going to go again or expected. But they didn't do that on Saturday. They continued to fight, and then from what you said, they continued to fight on Sunday. Did you see that attitude of we're going to get this on Sunday?
Absolutely. I saw it all day Saturday too. These games are, it was tough. You talk about probably in my career the worst offensive performance I've been a part of almost, and so, I was in every defensive huddle, and, a lot of times those guys can get frustrated and just be like, man, this is, come on offense, help us out type situation, and they never once did that. Our offense never blinked. I think you ask anybody on our offense about Caden Belkamp, they said they got 1,000% full confidence in him. And so our guys didn't blink. I saw that during the game. I saw it after the game by what the players were coming and talking to me after the game. Sunday morning, I had multiple text messages from some leaders on our team, just that I didn't reach out to them, they reached out to me, just with positive thoughts and how much they believe in, our coaching staff and our process and what we're doing, and that, that was a bump in the road, but we're ready to go. So I love where our leadership is, and again, I think we're ready to bounce back this week.
On a more personal note, this is a Herculean task in my eyes that you've taken on with calling the plays and being serving as a head coach, being in the defensive meetings. How did that balance and act over you on Saturday?
Yeah, it was definitely different for sure. You're trying to balance it all, but again, that's why I hired Coach Facey to help me out with the quarterbacks. Whenever I can't, just sit with him in between every drive. So I've got to be ready for defense as well, and I try to be super efficient on the iPads in between series, and but also keep my head in the game. You never know what's going to happen on defense when we may need a timeouts and stuff like that. It was, I didn't feel like I was overwhelmed or overpressured or anything like that. I think it was just kind of, one of those first time games, like you said, kind of got a lot going on a little bit, but I felt good with it.
You hear a lot of times there needs to build the most progress between weeks 1 and 2 because you don't know exactly what you're going to see out there. Is that something you believe in? And if so, what are you guys kind of going to be able to build on?
Yeah, I do believe that, but B, the thing, when you go back and you watch, a lot of our mistakes that we made, it all reverts back to just details and what we say, doing your job. And so the word detail is all week, just because we were just such an undetailed football team on Saturday, and the details killed us. I could pinpoint play after play after play that everyone's probably in the stands like that was a terrible play, and it's like really we're so close to it being a great play if everyone just does their job, like small details and stuff like that. But I definitely think so. Again, we knew it was going to be an adaptable kind of game, against Maryland, because we had no idea what they were going to do, what was our personnel really going to look like. And again, kudos to them. They did a great job. They shut us down, and they caused 6 turnovers. You cause 6 turnovers, the percentage of winning a game is probably 99.999%. And so kudos to them. But I definitely, again, after seeing what I saw at practice today, see how our guys bounced back Sunday, Saturday after the game, Sunday, all day yesterday, guys were hungry. They wanted to be in the office to watch film, see what we had going on, what was going on in the game plan. I think you can definitely see that. And also, too, at least being able to see personnel-wise, what does FAMU have? What are they going to hang their hat on going into this year, too? That was a big game for them, too, week 1, and they went into that game with trying to do everything they could do to win that game. And so we do feel like we were, week 1 to week 2, you got a little bit more answers to the test, if you will, on what you need to prepare for going to the game.
Thanks for family. What have you kind of seen further? A little bit of offensive struggle there.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I'll start with their offense, like you said. They did. I thought Howard did some good stuff, put them in some tough situations a little bit. They got a new quarterback that hasn't played. That was his first start ever, and so just a guy that they're probably trying to get him in some rhythm early. And again, I thought Howard did a good job defensively, really shutting them out for the most part. And then conversely, it was kind of the same way on their side of the ball. FAMU's defense did a phenomenal job, held Howard to 201 yards of total offense and caused a turnover. So 200 yards is that's exceptional on the defense side of the football. And you have ultimately 200 yards, so they did a really good job as well. We're in the state of Florida, so they got athletes. Their skill players are very talented, all over the board. And special teams wise too. I thought Howard probably beat them in the special teams world as well when you look at it right there. So, but again, we're playing an in-state team, Division I team with really good football players. So we're going to be ready to go this weekend.
Injury-wise, we saw Tyler out there with big club. How is he holding up? And then also, no snaps for Quincy Brown. Is he feeling something?
Yeah, so we should. I'll start with Stolsky. Stolsky, he's got the club on. He'll probably be in that club for a little while. But I mean, the dude flew around, man. He was all over the place. Again, I talk about leadership. He's one of our main guys. And he was awesome. Clearly, he's got to wear the club, but still, he flew around and made a lot of plays for us. So he'll be good to go. Again, he'll be in the club for a while. Quincy just had like a real quick tweak at the end of last week. He got to go today, so I'm expecting right now that he'll be playing on Saturday, which would be great to have him out there for his first game with us. But other than that, I mean, that's another positive you look back and you can take from that first game was, we came out relatively clean, and it's always one of the concerns when you go play the big school. They're big and physical, and they can maybe beat you up a little bit, and for the most part we stay healthy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I think when you watch those first couple of drives, we were executing at a high level. We were doing our job, and again, I'm not naive. They helped us out a lot in that first drive with some penalties, helping us get down there a little bit. And I always revert back to the third and goal from the 5. Again, if we have one person do their job a little bit right there, we're going to walk in the end zone, and we're not even looking at anything else, and that completely could change the game. I'm a believer that the game is kind of has a cause and effect to it. And there's a lot of those things that come back, when you look at a game. And so, that's, and again, that's on me, you know what I mean? Because my position at quarterback didn't exactly execute his job on that one play. We got to go for it on 4th down and get into the 1-2 yard line. Again, great play by them to stop us there. But yeah, I thought the first 2 drives were good. We executed at a higher level for the most part there. And again, it wasn't 100%, but it was high execution for the most part. And when we do that, we're good. And then we weren't executing. You look back at the next drive, you start with a run, we go nowhere, start with a pass, we drop the ball to get to 3rd and 3, so now we're in 3rd and long. Those are the situations you don't want to be in. So again, you talk about just the cause and effect of the game, and we just weren't detailed enough, bottom line. And I thought those first 2 drives we were, and that's, I told our guys those first 2 drives are really who we are, and our guys know that, and that's where the frustration really was more than anything. Is just, you look at the body of work that we put on tape from spring, this offense, to fall camp. I mean, we've done some really, really good stuff, and then what we put on tape was just not us on Saturday.
Obviously, after that, kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
Back to the touchdown.
Yeah.
A little uncharacteristic of your offenses in the past.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I mean, kind of a little bit of everything. And again, I'm a football coach, so I could dive into every aspect of every one of them. Again, you talk about the pick 6, we got to hand that football off. So we had 2 handoffs that we had RPOs on that our read at quarterback is telling us to hand the ball off, and we didn't do those. One led to going to 4th down on the goal line, the other one led to the interception pick 6. We got to hand the ball off. It's easy. One of them, he overthrew Dom for sure. He's going the right spot with the football. The read's there, the ball's there. He lets it float in a little bit. We had one where Dom kind of falls down on a route, and we're trying to throw him a go ball. So we ended up throwing, unfortunately slipped player there. We had a miscommunication on a route on one. We threw it right to their safety in the red zone again. Again, I could dive into them all day for you from a coach's standpoint. But bottom line, it all comes back to the word detail. Especially like when you look at, because I consider those, we were 3 for 9 on 4th down, so we really had 12 turnovers. We had 12 turnovers, and about 4 of those 4th and shorts, we were not detailed enough in our route depth and where we're running routes. So we're running routes short of the chains, which is not what we're supposed to be doing, So then we're getting tackled, 4th and 1, and we're in a bad situation. And so we just got to clean all that stuff up. And that's the beauty. This is a quote from Caden Beltkamp. He said, that's why I love playing quarterback, because I know everything that I did wrong and I can fix every single one of them. And so,
Fourth down, unfortunately, is that kind of the idea that you guys hope to have on going for it on fourth down, being aggressive, things like that?
absolutely. And it's gonna vary a little bit game by game. Like what's the flow of the game. We're going to play at a Big Ten opponent. We're an underdog. Like, we're going to be aggressive. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. This week, we're probably going to be the favorite. That's not going to change the aggression. Now, what does weather look like? All those things are going to end up playing into it. But I'm going to be aggressive. 4th and 1, probably going for it almost every single time. Unless it's a dogfight in the fourth quarter, 0-0, and we've given up a single point on defense, something like that. But we're going to be aggressive. That's how I like to go. I think that's how we're gonna be different in this league. With how aggressive we're gonna be. Now, again, I'm not gonna be careless with it. I've gone on record multiple times saying I use the analytics, CAI, the book to help me out in that fashion with timeouts too and all those things. And I did what I felt was best this week to go in and try to attack Maryland. And so we're gonna be aggressive. Not gonna apologize for it. Not gonna make any excuses. We gotta be better at just executing those 4th downs.
Able to like the slate of last game, obviously, which are the great characteristic of him as well. I think he's kind of doing that mentally going into this season.
He's good. We had multiple talks. I get it. I understand the social media world and all the stuff. We had a ton of expectations going into game 1. Again, we're not naive, right? And we were about as far away from those expectations we could be. And that, starts with me first and foremost, and that's the same thing for me too. Everybody thinks here comes this high-flying deal, and we go score 7 points and have 6 turnovers, and it's just not good enough, And so, him and I sat down multiple times. We talked. Again, he's a coach's kid, so he's been through the highs and lows of college football, period. And he's good to go. Again, we came out today. I thought he actually got an extremely high level today. No turnovers today, and so again, I'm looking forward for him to really have a big game this week and get back on track.
First home game, your flag.
Yeah.
Any message to the fan base?
Yeah, rain or shine, we got to have you. Again, we've got to create a home field advantage. I'm excited to get everybody in here. I'm excited to play at home, and not have to travel so far and do all those things. And I'm just excited, I can't thank the fan base enough just for their support and what we're doing. And I'm excited to show what this team's really supposed to look like this Saturday. So need everybody to be loud, be early, stay late, and have a good time, rain or shine.